Welcome to this new episode brought to you by Vault of 15, your #1 top 15 list maker. In this episode, we're digging into the 15 strangest graves in the world, unusual, bizarre, and unforgettable resting places that defy tradition. Let's begin. Number 15. The Telephone Grave, London, UK. In a quiet London cemetery stands one of the strangest headstones you'll ever see. A full-sized rotary telephone carved in stone. It marks the grave of a man who spent his entire life working in telecommunications and wanted his final resting place to reflect his passion. The sight is both humorous and unsettling. Instead of traditional angels or crosses, you're greeted by a stone handset and dial. To some, it feels like the deceased is still waiting for a call, as if the line between the living and the dead remains open. Graveyard visitors often stop here, taking photos or leaving small offerings. Coins, notes, even old phone cards, as if to pay for one last call. While not famous worldwide, this unusual memorial has become a favorite among those who enjoy seeking out odd and quirky gravestones. It proves that even in death, some people manage to keep their sense of identity and maybe even their sense of humor. Number 14. The Tomb of Harry Houdini, New York, USA. Harry Houdini, the world's most famous escape artist, died in 1926 and was buried in Queens, New York. His grave stands out not just for the man it honors, but for the legends that surround it. The tomb is marked by a dramatic bust of Houdini, and for decades, fans gathered here on Halloween to try contacting him through seances. The cemetery once grew so concerned about the crowds that the bust was removed after repeated vandalism. For years, only the base remained, until a replica was placed to restore its iconic look. What makes this grave truly strange is the continuing belief that Houdini might still escape death itself. Visitors leave playing cards, handcuffs, and magic props at his resting place, tributes to a man who built his legacy on illusions and daring escapes. Even in death, Houdini inspires curiosity, mystery, and a little bit of magic. Number 13. The Piano-Shaped Grave, Poland. In a Polish cemetery rests a gravestone that looks less like a marker of death and more like a tribute to music. It is carved entirely in the shape of a grand piano, lid open, keys carefully detailed in stone. The unusual memorial belongs to a pianist whose passion for music defined his life and, clearly, his afterlife. Visitors say the grave almost looks like it could play a tune if touched, standing out in stark contrast to the surrounding traditional headstones. It's become a quiet landmark for music lovers, who sometimes leave flowers or sheet music across its stone keys. This grave is both elegant and strange, not eerie, but striking in its devotion. It tells anyone passing by exactly who this person was, without needing words. For those who believe music never dies, the piano grave is a fitting reminder. Number 12. The Tree Trunk Graves, Indiana, USA. Scattered across old cemeteries in Indiana are graves shaped like stone tree trunks. These unusual markers were commissioned by the Woodmen of the World, a fraternal organization that believed the trunks symbolized a life cut short. Each one is slightly different. Some have carved branches, others include stacked logs or scrolls. Inscriptions are etched into the bark, giving the impression that the tree itself carries the story of the person buried beneath it. The design feels both natural and eerie, as if nature itself is marking the end of a human life. Visitors often pause at these headstones, surprised by their realism and the quiet symbolism. Unlike the uniform shapes of traditional markers, these graves stand out, reminding passers-by that even in death, individuality can be carved into stone. Number 11. Marilyn Monroe's Crypt, Los Angeles, USA. Marilyn Monroe's final resting place is at Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles. Though it's a simple stone crypt, it has become one of the strangest and most visited graves in the world. Fans flock daily to leave lipstick marks, flowers, and handwritten notes, turning it into a shrine for Hollywood's most iconic star. The strangeness doesn't end there. The crypt directly above hers was purchased by a man who requested to be buried face down so he would rest on top of her forever. This bizarre wish only added to the site's notoriety. Decades after her death, Monroe's crypt remains a symbol of glamour, obsession, and the unsettling side of celebrity devotion. Number 10. The Elvis Presley Shrine, Memphis, USA. At Graceland in Memphis, Elvis Presley rests in the Meditation Garden, a place that has become one of the most visited graves in the world. Fans line up daily to walk past his tomb, often leaving flowers, candles, or handwritten notes. What makes this grave so unusual is the sheer devotion it attracts. It isn't just a burial site, it's a shrine. Some visitors even kneel, whisper prayers, or sing softly, turning the space into a mix of pilgrimage and performance. The grave itself is marked with a large stone slab inscribed with Elvis's name, surrounded by fountains and flowers. Yet it's the atmosphere created by the visitors that makes it strange. Decades after his death, it feels alive, buzzing with emotion, music, and reverence for the king of rock and roll. Number 9. The Merry Cemetery, Sapunsa, Romania. Unlike most graveyards, the Merry Cemetery in Romania is filled with brightly painted wooden crosses decorated in blues, reds, and yellows. Each grave tells the story of the deceased through humorous poems and vivid folk art. Some crosses describe everyday life, a farmer plowing fields, a mother cooking meals. Others reveal blunt or even comical causes of death, like drinking too much or being hit by a car. The honesty and humor transform the cemetery into a place of celebration rather than sorrow. Walking through feels less like mourning and more like flipping through a colorful book of human lives. Tourists from around the world visit to marvel at the witty epitaphs and playful artwork. Strange as it seems, the Merry Cemetery reminds us that death doesn't always need to be somber. It can also be remembered with laughter. Number 8. Rosalia Lombardo's Glass Coffin, Palermo, Italy. In 1920, 2-year-old Rosalia Lombardo died of pneumonia in Palermo. Her grieving father asked master embalmer Alfredo Salafia to preserve her, and the result became one of the world's most astonishing graves. Resting in a crystal coffin inside the Capuchin catacombs, Rosalia looks eerily lifelike. Nicknamed the Sleeping Beauty, she appears as though she could wake at any moment. Visitors are struck by her serene face, ribboned hair, and the strange illusion that her eyes sometimes open. Scientists explain this as a trick of light and shifting humidity, but the effect only adds to her legend. Over a century later, Rosalia's tiny glass tomb continues to draw crowds, blending science, sorrow, and myth. It remains one of the strangest and most haunting memorials in the world. Number 7. The tomb of Victor Noir, Paris, France. Victor Noir was a young journalist killed in 1870, but his grave in Père Lachaise Cemetery became far more famous than his life. His tomb features a life-size bronze statue of him, lying as if freshly fallen, complete with a noticeable bulge in his trousers. Over time, legend grew that touching the statue's lips, face, or groin would bring fertility, passion, or even a quick marriage. The bronze has worn smooth in those places, polished by thousands of hopeful visitors. The result is a grave that attracts more than mourners. It draws lovers, tourists, and the simply curious. Flowers, letters, and lipstick marks are often scattered around the statue, turning a tragic death into one of the strangest and most talked about memorials in Paris. Number 6. The grave of William McKenzie, Liverpool, UK. In Liverpool's St. Andrew's Churchyard stands a grave unlike any other, a stone pyramid, towering above the surrounding headstones. It belongs to William McKenzie, a 19th century railway contractor and gambler with a very strange final request. Local legend says McKenzie, who was terrified of damnation, instructed that he be buried above ground inside the pyramid, seated upright at a card table with a winning hand in poker. The story claims he believed this would outwit the devil, denying him entry to hell. Whether the tale is true or not, the pyramid tomb still fascinates visitors. Some see it as a bold act of defiance, others as a gambler's last bet against eternity. Either way, it remains one of the most unusual and talked about graves in Britain. Number 5. The tomb of Rudolf Nureyev, Paris, France. Rudolf Nureyev, one of the greatest ballet dancers of the 20th century, rests in Paris's Russian cemetery of Sainte-Geneviève-des-Bois. What makes his grave extraordinary is its covering. The entire tomb is draped in a mosaic that looks like a richly patterned oriental rug. Nureyev loved these carpets and collected them during his life. So after his death in 1993, his friends commissioned the elaborate design as a tribute. From a distance, it truly looks like a rug has been laid across the grave, with folds and tassels carefully crafted in stone and colored tile. The effect is both beautiful and surreal. Unlike somber marble slabs, Nureyev's tomb radiates warmth and artistry, reflecting the passion and culture he embraced. It has since become one of the most photographed and admired graves in the world. Number 4. The tomb of little Gracie Watson, Savannah, USA. In Bonaventure Cemetery, Savannah, lies the grave of Gracie Watson, a 6-year-old girl who died in the year 1889. Her family commissioned a sculptor to create a life-size marble statue, capturing Gracie in exquisite detail from her curls to the folds of her dress. The result is hauntingly lifelike. Over the decades, her tomb has become one of the most famous in the cemetery. Visitors often leave toys, flowers, or coins around her statue, treating her less as a distant memory and more as a child still watching over the grounds. Some say her eyes follow you as you walk by, adding to the grave's eerie reputation. Whether seen as tragic or beautiful, the tomb of little Gracie remains one of the most striking and unforgettable memorials in the world. We are now moving on to the top 3 of the list. If you have made it this far, please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to Vault of 15. Number 3. The iPod tombstone, Russia. In a Russian cemetery, one grave stands out for its modern twist, a giant black tombstone shaped like an iPod, complete with engraved playlist, buttons, and a screen etched with the young woman's portrait. It looks more like a gadget than a memorial. The grave belongs to a teenager who loved music and technology. Her family chose the design to reflect her personality, ensuring she would be remembered exactly as she lived, headphones in, always listening. For visitors, it's both touching and strange. In a place defined by tradition, the iPod tombstone feels playful, even defiant. It's a reminder that graves don't always have to be somber. They can capture the quirks and passions of the person beneath. Number 2. The Lovers of Valdaro, Italy. Discovered in 2007 near Mantua, Italy, this grave holds 2 Neolithic skeletons buried face to face, arms wrapped around each other. The pair, nicknamed the Lovers of Valdaro, have been lying in this eternal embrace for over 6,000 years. Unlike most burials of the era, they were placed together, suggesting a ritual or a symbolic farewell. Archaeologists believe they were young, perhaps a couple who died suddenly. Their positioning has captivated people worldwide, turning them into a symbol of eternal love. Displayed today in a museum case, the Lovers of Valdaro are more than a strange grave. They are a haunting reminder of how human emotions transcend time. Thousands of years later, their silent embrace still moves those who see it. Number 1. Nicolas Cage's Pyramid Tomb, New Orleans, USA. In New Orleans' famous St. Louis Cemetery, one stands a massive white pyramid that looks like it belongs in ancient Egypt. Strangely, it isn't centuries old. It belongs to actor Nicolas Cage, who had it built for himself in 2010. The 9-foot-tall tomb bears the Latin phrase omnia ab uno, everything from one, and its stark geometric design makes it stand out sharply among the weathered 18th and 19th century graves around it. Locals were baffled when it appeared, with some believing Cage chose it to ward off bad luck after a series of personal troubles. Although he's still alive, the pyramid is ready and waiting. Tourists flock to see it, leaving lipstick marks on the stone or coins at its base. In a cemetery filled with history, Cage's pyramid is one of the strangest modern additions, a Hollywood star's eccentric claim to immortality. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the world's strangest graves. From phone-shaped tombstones to pyramids for Hollywood stars, each of these final resting places shows how creativity and eccentricity can live on long after death. Thank you for watching Vault of 15. Subscribe for more unusual, bizarre, and unforgettable top 15 lists.